Welcome back. Junkies on 106.7 The Fan. We are live on NBC Sports Washington. Presented by Crop Metcalf. They are the official heating and cooling company of the Junkies. Looking to be their next 5-star HVAC technician or plumber? Visit cropmetcalf.com to join their team. I'm John Paul Flame, joined by Eric Pickle, Johnny Cake Sawville, and Jason Bishop on a Victory Monday.
Next week, by the way, Pickle hates 4 o'clock West Coast games. Not that Arizona's on the coast, but he does not like the 4 p.m. kicks.
Well, I like the 1 o'clocks. Who
Yeah,
doesn't? You know, I mean, it's fine.
It gives you it's more anticipation on Sunday.
True, but what I don't like, honestly, is like Monday night games.
Oh yeah, they're the worst.
Those are the worst.
Doubleheader Monday night tonight. EB, you get
That's right.
sized.
Who do you like? I'm throwing a little cash here.
Who would I like? I like Pittsburgh, and I like the under. I know that's weird to say. I like the under in the Titans-Broncos game.
What's the total for that one?
41.
Oh, I don't know. I just like the under.
41.
I think it's going to be a slow-paced game, so hence the under.
You guys would be bitter if you were a Nashville radio host.
Because
Why is that?
I believe that game starts at 10:20 Eastern.
Yeah, 10:15, 10:20.
Yeah, so that's 9:30,
Oh, that's
9:20 their
brutal.
time.
we bring that kind of
Brutal.
stuff. Yeah.
All right, we're going to get back into the Washington football team winning their first game in a little bit, but wanted to take you through the fantasy leaders from Week 1, Cakes.
Catching
You
my
know that is
attention,
vital
JP.
to all of us.
So important.
At quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, Dave Richards said maybe we should bench him in Week 1 because he was taking on the Vikings.
Right.
But 4 touchdowns for A-Rod, throws for 364 yards, QB rating of 127.5 in the game. He proved he's still a fantasy force.
I think, the rumors of his demise have been greatly exaggerated.
And Devontae Adams, I mean, just unstoppable. Just went into Minnesota's house and disrespected them in U.S. Bank Stadium.
Well, Rodgers
They had no answer for him.
basically told the Packers, that's what you get for drafting Jordan Love.
Right. Exactly.
But equally as good, Russell Wilson, actually even better because he only had 4 incompletions, threw for 322 yards and 4 scores. His quarterback rating, by the way, 143.1. That's pretty good, huh?
He also led the Drabhawks, in rushing. Now, they didn't rush for a ton, 3 carries for 29 yards because they were doing so much damage through the air. They didn't really have to do much on the ground. But that's an impressive performance with the Drabhawks flying east for that early game.
Wilson
Jackson.
and Rodgers, both, in terms of fantasy, both scored 34 points with CBS.
By the way, Jason, isn't your guy Dan Quinn supposedly like a defensive guy?
Yep,
That team-
that's what he was. He was
that
a defensive.
Falcons team.
He was a defensive lineman at Salisbury University.
Well, they're
And
putrid on defense.
He was defensive
in Atlanta.
coordinator, and then of course he took. Yeah, this is going to be the last year for him.
Well, their D-line was fine. Their secondary looks like they're
Secondary's bad,
D3 guys.
Yeah.
And they went out and drafted a guy in the first round out of Clemson, A.J. Terrell.
But don't get me wrong, I like the fact that Matt Ryan has to throw the ball 50 times, and guys like Russell Gage are going for over 100 receiving-wise. I do like that.
Ridley, a monster fantasy day.
Matt Ryan did put up some, I'm sticking with the quarterbacks, put up 450 yards and put up some fantasy numbers. And I don't think we can sleep on Lamar Jackson because he had 3 touchdowns and looked every bit as much as like he did last year as the MVP of the league. In terms of running backs fantasy-wise, the best performance was the Thursday night performance from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who ran for 138 yards and a touchdown. Zeke was good last night, ran for 96 yards and a touchdown, also had 1 receiving. McCaffrey found the end zone twice. Adrian Peterson ran for 93 yards.
Well, not only that, look at AP's yards per carry. 6.6. Just gouging the Bears yesterday.
Cakes, the C-Mac only had 4 targets in the passing game. That kind of concerns me. I have him in one of my leagues, took him number 1 overall. Now, I'll take the 96 yards and 2 scores.
Of course.
But I need more catches, and I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if Bridgewater is going to be looking for him as much as, a Cam Newton did or Kyle Allen.
Likewise, the departure of Phillip Rivers from the Chargers. Now Ty God takes over, and Austin Eckler. Now, it's 1 game, but his targets plummet.
Way down.
And he's not as special if he's not catching 7 or 8 balls per game. He's actually pretty pedestrian if that's the case.
I'll tell you what,
so monitor that too.
I think the best running performance fantasy-wise had to be Josh Jacobs yesterday.
Well, yeah, Jacobs found the end zone 3 times.
Yeah.
He didn't have the gaudy, total yards that Hilaire had.
He had 93, though.
Yeah.
But
And he also had 4 catches for 50 yards. So
that's the upside, is that he didn't really chip in as a receiver out of the backfield as a rookie. If he starts putting up those sorts of numbers as a pass catcher, look out, because he's going to flirt with McCaffrey-esque type numbers if that continues.
Correct.
Now, there were a bunch of receivers that just blew up fantasy-wise yesterday. Some of them the expected names: Julio Jones, 9 catches, $157. Devontae Adams, who Jason mentioned, had 14 catches for $156 and 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins hooked up with Kyler Murray 14 times for 151 yards and nearly found the end zone. It looks like he was down like on the inch line.
Yep.
If you saw that play before they punched it in. So he's going to be a lot for the Washington football team's defense to handle next week. But, I mean, there were also some guys, Cakes mentioned it. I never heard of Russell Gage, who goes for 114 yards and 9 catches. Robbie Anderson, 6 catches for $115 in his Carolina debut. And Jamison Crowder put up big numbers for the Jets.
Did he? I didn't even know.
That's
They were
partially
supposedly
because
awful on offense.
he ripped a 69-yard touchdown from Darnold, which helped. I mean, you can't discount it, but woof, that Jets offense looked dreadful outside of that Crowder
That
long
could be your
play.
number 1 pick right there. Number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
New York Jets. And if they do, of course, they'll take Lawrence because it'll be sayonara to Darnold, I would think. But Lev Bell got hurt in that game. And I believe, I'm spacing the coach's name, in
Adam Gase?
Gates. He said he knew that he was hurt, and he put him back in there anyway, and he left him in, and then he injured it further. And now Bell might be on the injured list because they went to Frank Gore, but Bell did not look good. He didn't even talk about it after the game. So we'll have to wait and see this
Well,
week.
it's a 2-horse race for me as far as who's the first coach to be fired. It's Adam Gase or it's Matt Patricia, because their seats are already hot, and then Patricia just blowing that massive lead against the Bears yesterday doesn't do good things for his job security. And we know that Gase is already on thin ice in New York. And if they have a bunch more performances like that, he may not even make it out of the first month.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah.
I mean, he could be the dead man walking. Get that bet in if you can. Place that bet for first coach fired. I would put it on Gase.
Moving off of fantasy football just for a moment, did you guys follow the John Wall story at all?
You know what? Somebody sent me a video.
I saw the vid.
Yeah, and I watched it. It's hard for me to tell who was who in it, to be honest with you.
So the controversy, for those that don't know, John Wall was at a party. I believe it was in New York City. And there was video that came out of the party. John Wall has since apologized, but he was flashing gang signs.
Wow.
And he's done that in the past. I saw 2 different views on this. Number one, you just shouldn't glorify gangs, right? That's the easy take is, what are you doing? Don't flash gang signs. He apologized for it. You should know better than that. But then I saw kind of a counterpoint, and I can't relate to it, is that he may have grown up with some of those guys in those gangs, and it's kind of like a shout out to his boys.
Okay, but you still got to be smart enough. You're condoning joining gangs and the Bloods, who are a violent gang, notorious. They like to kill kids. So it's just a bad look. It really is. I don't know what the Wizards can do or the NBA can do about that. It's just a bad look.
It also looked like he was high as a kite. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. So if he apologized and he's copping to it that it was a recent deal, I didn't even know. I just don't even know what to make of that stuff. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Didn't look good. That's for sure. I love John, but it didn't look good. You just
No,
want him to
it's
be
not a
hanging
good
out.
look.
You just want him to be hanging out with the right people and to make smart decisions and just be a responsible citizen.
So he's done this in the past, like it goes back to 2011.
I don't remember that.
He flashed signs. He also did it in the playoffs in 2015. So you would think he would have learned from it. His apology, he wrote, "First and foremost, I want to apologize to my family, my teammates, and all of those that have always supported me. I made a mistake, something I regret. I'll continue to work hard to be better on the court and, more importantly, off the court."
Right.
Hey, from my extensive knowledge of gangs, you're in a gang. You're in a gang for life. I mean, that doesn't mean you need to flash the gang signs, or if you associate with gangs, it's kind of tough to get out of a gang once you're in one.
Well, if his name's not John Wall, if it's Mike Wall, he's cut. But he's making $35 million, whatever he's making. It's not, you can't do it. So
he's set to be paid $44.3 million, I think, in 2021-22.
Right, the last year was.
And then after that, $47.4 million.
I mean, the obvious insinuation is, those with all the stacks of money there and everything, that something shady's going on. That's sort of the. Now, John's a multimillionaire, obviously, but I don't get the sense that was necessarily his money. I don't know what was going on.
Who knows?
He laughs at that. He laughs at those stacks that those guys were passing around.
Well, whatever they were doing, it was dumb. And John Wall's
clearly dumb.
Way too old to be doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's been around too
long. But like Eric said, if you're under the influence, you do stupid things.
We all do stupid things
when
we're under the influence.
You say stupid things.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's what happened.
He clearly wasn't in his right mind, like his normal mind. Didn't look like it to me.
Real quick, as we move off the Washington football team for a second and mention some things outside of the NFL, which we spent the bulk of the show on. We said going into the series with the Braves that at a minimum the Nationals had to win 3 out of 4. I thought they would have to kind of sweep the series. It went the other way.
Yep. It's not going to be fun to talk to Mike this week because it's over, Johnny.
Well, it's over, but he'll still be fine.
2 times, Wednesday and Friday.
Oh, we got him twice.
Well, he wasn't on last week, so we're doubling
double
up.
Dip?
I mean, just to get
Rizzo
the reads in.
dip?
What if we do the reads twice during the one interview?
Yeah,
Not much else to talk work like that.
No. Well, it's fine. He'll be fine. It's a weird season.
It's a weird. There's 15 games left. He's probably.
It is what it is.
Yeah, you're right, JP. I said you had to win 3 out of 4. You lose 3 out of 4, and your top 2 pitchers lost their games. So. They're just not good enough. They're
17 and 28. That wouldn't have been a death knell during a regular season when you have 162 games. But when you have 60 games, like you said, it's over. And it doesn't matter that they're expanded playoffs. They're not going to get there. They needed to get close to 500. Right. Unless they went on a ridiculous run right now, they're not getting there.
Surprised Eric hasn't brought up the fact that his second favorite team, the Cubs, had a no-hitter yesterday.
No, I saw that. But no, I don't. Yeah, the Cubs aren't my team anymore.
He hasn't watched a Cubs game since he watched them on WGN.
Think about it. That's the worst time. If you're a Cubs fan, that's the worst time for your pitcher to throw a no-hitter on week 1 of the NFL.
Right. Gets lost in the shuffle.
And probably the best time to throw up gang signs because it gets big.
Oh, yeah, John Wall was so psyched that the Washington football team won yesterday.
Right.
Did you like watching the games? Like EB mentioned earlier that the lack of fans bothered him. It didn't bother me at all. I don't know. I've gotten used to it. And, occasionally you'd see some shots.
I refuse to get used to it.
The sound. Yeah. I went to Poorhouse here in my neighborhood with Dylan for a while, so I watched those games. And sometimes they don't have the audio on for that, so it didn't really bother me. And there's so many screens and so many games going on that's hard to concentrate. But once I was home, I'm fine. I've gotten over it. I think we joked about this at the very beginning of the pandemic when you started seeing kind of the international soccer games with what it was going to be like with the fake crowd noise. Doesn't bother me.
I don't like it.
It's just better. It's
just
just
better
with
at all.
The fans.
There's no energy.
If they can have fans at Notre Dame, if they can have fans at Doak Campbell, they can have fans there. Okay, you want to limit the numbers right now? Fine. But all these stadiums should be accepting fans of some number.
But when you're watching games like college games on Saturday, when they're only allowing 15,000 fans, it's just different.
It's so different, and it's wacky.
And you know what? We don't know what it's going to be like next year. It may be the same next year. The NFL may not allow fans next year. Who knows about a vaccine?
I guess I'm in the minority in the show. It doesn't bother me at all.
Didn't bother me one bit.
Bothers me.
So I guess it's a split on the Junkies. Two Junkies don't care. I don't care if they have a single fan the rest of the season because the games mean so much to me in the NFL. I'm such an NFL mark, and me and my boy went to watch the games, and you got the fantasy football element, you got gambling elements, and just the games itself, particularly in the NFL. You could maybe say the same thing in college football, but in the NFL they mean so much, each individial game, that I don't care if there's a fan in the stand or not.
No,
okay,
there should be.
It's
fans.
your opinion.
I think as far as
I differ.
As the broadcast goes, the NFL not having fans has minimal impact. Other sports, NBA, it's hard to watch for me. Soccer, the fans are right there on the pitch. It could take you out of it. NFL, I was watching that game. Besides cutting to fans like coming back from commercials,
Yeah, you would never know.